why I go into sales when I was an introvert. So, all these talks, I hope it fills you up with ideas, right? The way I would say that you're using these webinars right is that I hope you're taking notes right now, right? If you're not taking notes, then you're basically sort of like putting all this active knowledge down to the drain. And later, our next speaker is also going to give you a lot more knowledge. And if you do not apply, you'll not get the results, right? Period. So I want to give you one example. This example is a student of mine. His name is Genka. And Genka, if you're tuning in, I just want to say that you are amazing, right? He is an agency leader with 3,000 agents under him in Indonesia. He runs this agency called GPS. So I was brainstorming with him on one Saturday. I can't recall which was it because I hop on too many Zoom calls. And this was his results, right? He decided to run a webinar like this. And this was pretty much his first of his kind. I could recall his apprehension as his team to say like, Ben, really? Like really webinars, right? Like how will it work, right? So I want to show you how did it work and whether it worked in fact, right? In fact, you look at the date, 8 April, it was yesterday. It is a paid webinar, by the way. So it's a 50,000 Indonesian rupiah, which works out to be about $3 a person, right? So even online webinars, it doesn't have to be free, right? I'm going to share with you, people who sign up for free events, usually turnout rate, as we all know, is low, right? But if you put a small fee, people say that, hey, I spent money, I better make it work for me, right? The proceeds of this event, if I recall correctly, have been donated to charity. But I want to go to share with you what are the results, right? Like one, he started to get a lot of messages from his agents. His agents use, especially the new agents, new to business, struggle to engage their current or even new prospects. They start to realize that, hey, I have more talking points, right? So if you realize my style as a trainer is I don't just talk theory. I give you theory plus a live case study, right? And I'm always moving 2 to 3 steps ahead, right? Because for me to get a case study like this, I need to start work with Genka 2 to 3 weeks before, right? So I want to let you know that even for myself, I learned from a US mentor who runs 200 webinars a year. For me, last year, I ran close to 20 webinars for my corporate clients, and I brought in multiple 5 figures in US dollars deals, right? So I like to think I know what I do and I know what I teach. But even then, I don't want to assume the case for financial consultants, right? Second, I want to say this is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful picture, right? This was a picture of the speaker. His name is Frankie, and he's a CFA talking about the economy, right? A lot of us fear that, are we good enough? Are we qualified enough? Now, invite the expert, right? Chances are a lot of people are now also staying at home. So why don't you engage them, invite them, get them to share so the expert wins, right? From the agency and agent's perspective, we start to realize that, hey, we have more things to engage our customers, right? It's not just about care packages. Care packages are great. TikTok videos are great. But sometimes people will say, hey, I had enough fun, or I'm not so much into fun. Can you have something else? And then the third person that wins is your client and prospect. And I want to say that this webinar, Genka was so surprised because he realized that customers are also engaging, asking questions. And I want to tell you that people usually on online setting, they don't ask questions or they don't ask a lot of questions. But to have questions coming out organically, that's a first time for him, right? Take a look at this slide. So the speaker was talking about lump sum versus DCA, right? Dollar cost averaging. A lot of us consultants want to invest in, we want to persuade our customers to invest this period, right? But your customers will always be saying like, Ben, this is not a good time. I want to keep more money, right? But when an expert compares, whether you should put lump sum or versus a DCA, when the times are highly volatile like now, right? I can't read the Bahasa, but roughly if I can get it, when experts say it frames up your clients or your potential prospects, right? And you as an agent could then say, hey, did we not learn this from our webinar that this should be something that we should be doing? Right? Are you open right now, right? So framing up through a webinar for them to take action is wonderful, right? We talk about how the market is always ahead of the curve, right? So it talks about your long-term direction, how you can go long on the market. So again, for our clients or customers who are willing to invest, look at what this agency did. Basically, leverage the expertise of someone external, and it's more powerful because obviously they will say, you are a insurance consultant advisor, you want our money. So obviously you'll say that, right? But when someone is partisan, objective, and neutral, say so, that creates additional impact, right? Obviously he thanked me, which I'm very thankful for Genka to obviously say. And again, my nickname is Doraemon. I try to give a lot of tricks and ideas to my students occasionally, and you can see why. Because I think that, this is the era whereby if we do not try and experiment and be bold, be courageous as one of the 5 qualities that Matt has mentioned, we will never really get to trying out new things and new possibilities. And last but not least, he was so excited. He said, hey, from the success of yesterday's webinar, 125 participants, 40 of them customers, you do your math, close to 50 people, he was encouraged, right? So sometimes all it takes is one successful webinar. And if you can do that, go through that, that really opens up a world of possibilities. So I want to sum up, there are 2 types of webinars, right? We talk about client education webinars. Those are just pure teaching, no selling, right? But at one point, we're saying like, Ben, so how do we talk about insurance, right? So point number 1, you can also talk about insurance, but it's a follow-up mechanism. Meaning to say agents have to WhatsApp them, text them and say, hey, what did you learn? Would you be interested? That can be done, right? But for some other webinars, it can be a bit more explicit, open, and also direct, right? So if you think of that, client nurturing seminars, again, I study all the different models. I just want to put it simple. Remember 80-20. 80% education, 20% talking about your work. I'm going to give you an example, right? So an example, right? This seminar could be about critical illnesses. You invite a medical doctor, right? Because a medical doctor talks about medical problems, right? A financial doctor, which I'll show you later, will talk about financial problems. So he or she could do his usual talk, like for example, the critical illnesses that's important. What is the top CI in Vietnam? Why do we get all the CIs? How do we prevent all this dangerous illnesses? Is it a function of being nature or hereditary? Is it born with you? Stuff like that, right? So it's the usual doctor talk, right? But the difference between a client nurturing seminar for sales and recruitment is you don't end with the doctor, right? You don't end with the doctor. You end with a financial advisor. And how it moves is I'd like you to think. All of us as financial advisors, we say that we are financial doctors, right? But we are financial doctors that work on financial problems by providing financial solutions, right? So the focus then therein lies in, you want to talk about all the financial, anything that relates to money, anything that pertains to finances, the lack of, right? For example, cost of having CI coverage versus none, right? We can talk about cost benefit analysis, right? We can talk about part solution. I want to emphasize point number 3. On a webinar, don't go into your benefits illustration. Don't go into your product brochure. Less details, more about the features, top line, right? So just want to say, like, for example, we have a COVID-19 coverage. It does A, B, and C, light touch. Why? I'll go into why in a short while time, right? On your webinar, tell more stories, right? Because webinars, unless they love you so much, you're invested, like all of you, hopefully are invested with me, you're very tuning in, you're taking notes, right? But to the average client or prospect out there, they just want to get enough knowledge, but hear more stories. Enough knowledge, hear more stories, right? So if you give too much details, it will actually slow down and in fact does worse to your sales process. How then should you do it? You say, hey, do you want to know more about this exact policy? Speak to the advisor who invited you today. He or she has to do it on a tailored, customized way, right? Because each and every one of you are different. Different income, different expenses, blah, 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 right? So what I'm saying is client nurturing seminars are pure education on 80%, but they don't end with the doctor. They end with the financial doctor. It could be an agency representative who's good with virtual education. And of course, if you need help, seek your local training heads, and maybe you can design something to help you to be excelling and thriving in front of a online camera. Right? But most important thing is the 20%. Recall is opening, it's not closing, right? Closing is you ask people to sign up. Unless you are so godlike, nobody will buy policies just from this webinar, right? We still have to hop on a next call, whether voice or video, and then we do the next thing, right? So to wrap things up, I talked to you about the key mechanics of running a webinar. It could be either technology, it could be thematic, topic selection and content curation. It could be delivering excellent virtual learning experiences, or it could be the conversion to business. These are the 4 mechanics. If you manage them well, I almost can assure you that you start to do more online stuff and you realize even post-crisis, you'll be wondering like, Ben, why am I spending $10,000 to run a 200 people event when I can spend a fraction of it, put more money to better use, and I can even incentivize my agents. Guys, this is the world we are stepping into, right? The more we resist change, the more we'll be left behind change, right? So to sum it up, these are what I have in mind. I want to set up the next session for Zoom meetings, right? And this is our second guest's baby. Her name is Joyce, and you'll be wondering, for all of you who have done Zoom, it is a challenge, right? So this is how you look like before Zoom with the audio on, and then with video, you look like this. And this is what's happening, right? I want to share with you a very quick video to sort of frame you up. Doing Zoom videos, and to our team who's setting it up, it is not a straightforward process, right? You need to give explicit instructions. Sometimes it may be challenging, but if you do it well, it can be rewarding. But take note, it is not so easy, and let's watch the video.
Okay, double click on my computer. I can see your computer. No, click on my computer on your computer. How can I click on your computer from my computer? There is an icon labeled my computer on your computer. Double click it. What the hell? What is your computer doing on my computer? Double click on your computer. Which icon do I have to click? My computer. Tell me, where do you live? I go to your house to click on your computer. Oh my God.
Right, so this is what happens. When you have so many computers. But the key thing here is it is challenging, it's intimidating at the start, but it doesn't have to be, right? So I just want to give a quick story share. I woke up one Sunday morning and did a 7 a.m. coaching call with one of my students, Jaslyn. Reason why is that I realized that if I want to teach you about this topic, I cannot have zero knowledge. Just so happened that this student of mine is also my financial consultant, right? So one thing I realized was that when she went from offline to online, Jaslyn sort of lost her charm, her conviction. I wondered why. So I pinpointed 11 actions, 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. Yes, so I'm the kind of coach whereby I do whatever it takes to help you. If you're willing to do the work, I really do it. 7 a.m., 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 2 a.m. I'm 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, right? I even work on public holidays. So this is my commitment to my students. And I think if you're an agency leader, you need to show that kind of commitment to your agents. If you're an agent as well, you need to show that kind of commitment to your clients as well. Long story short, she did it so well. And then now she's mastering Zoom. She's being so effective with her C-level clients. And her clients are saying like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Right? I want to set the stage now again for our very, very special guest. Her name is Joyce. And strangely enough, we graduated from the same alma mater, from the Singapore Management University in Singapore. Funny enough, for 4 years, from 2008 to 2012, we were schoolmates, but we didn't see each other, right? So her path meandered into the Singapore Police Force. She was a law enforcer. And you may be wondering, how did a law enforcer end up becoming a financial advisor, right? I think she has an amazing backstory, but I think in terms of webinar, she packed a lot of content. But if you want to learn her backstory, follow her on Instagram later when you see her handle. Strong points about her, she's been a 2 years MDRT advisor. And I make sure that, you know, all the advisors that come on set, they are quality people. They're not here to waste your time, right? They know their stuff. So even before COVID-19 started, as early as Q4 last year, she's been on Zoom calls. Why? Because she was traveling in Europe with her partner, and clients wanted to keep in touch with her and say, hey, so why don't we use Zoom? And to caveat, she wasn't soliciting for new customers in Europe. She was talking to her customers in Singapore via Zoom. The long and short of it, in 3 months, she secured over 50 Zoom appointments, right? So this talk is designed for two people in mind. One, you are already actively trying out Zoom and you are maybe stuck, challenged. I want you to listen out to Joyce and learn from her as to how she overcome those challenges. Path number two, you're still doing voice calls or no calls at all and wondering what's on the other side of the fence, right? I want you to listen to Joyce's story because she represents a new breed, new fresh air of what can be possible in the online world. So I realize I've been talking so long, and over to you, Joyce. And anytime when you're ready, please take over the screen. All right, so Joyce does need a bit of time to set up. And those of you who are with us, please flip to another page, blank sheet, make sure you deal with it. This is the goal, my friends, and she will guide you as to how to excel in this space.
Hi, everybody. Yes, so I'm on right now. I'm just gonna give it a while for everything to load because I realize that there might be a little bit of lag time. So thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm gonna share with you guys my guide to e-appointments, right? And this has really like massively changed the way I do appointments. But at the same time, it's also rather similar because I saw some questions, you know, what's the difference between an e-appointment versus a physical appointment? And I want to address all those questions in my presentation today. So a brief background of myself, and this is why you know, I've been asked up here to do this sharing. I like to think myself as tech and client centric. That's my strategy in this financial consulting business, right? Like most of you guys, millennials or Gen Z, I am a digital native. What this means is that I grew up with technology around me. I remember when I first, dialed in on a broadband, and like look at how far technology has like really brought us